China's leader Xi Jinping is in Vietnam. His first stop on a tour of Southeast Asia to signal support for global trade. Xi was received by Vietnam's Communist Party leader To Lam in the capital Hanoi. The visit comes in the wake of US President Donald Trump's trade tariff announcement. Trump hit Vietnam with a tariff rate of 46%, then paused it for 90 days. Trump's 145% tariff on Chinese goods remains in effect, though, with exemptions for consumer electronics. Now, Vietnam has become a key player in the supply chain that delivers products to the US. Many companies shifted production there after Trump imposed tariffs on Chinese firms during his first term as president. And for more, we can speak to Alicia Garcia Herrero. She is the chief economist for the Asia-Pacific region at the investment bank Natixis. She joins us from Hong Kong. It's good to have you on the program. Welcome to DW. What is Xi's message to the Vietnamese?
Hold on there. That's the message. Vietnam has done very well during the last few years, thanks to greenfield investment from China. The Vietnam-China border is full of factories producing for the US, mostly for the US. And this is exactly what Trump intends to stop if the Vietnamese want to strike a deal to avoid import tariffs from the US. And I think she's exactly trying to say, look, if you want to be in my supply chain, you'd better keep my factories and keep importing from China.
Yeah, and as you say, Alicia, Vietnam has become an export powerhouse to the US, but China is its giant neighbor. How would you describe the position that Vietnam is in right now?
Well, I'm sure Vietnam would like to move up the ladder and continue to import from China, but substituting over time its imports to produce more value added in Vietnam. This is what the Trump administration is asking them to do, basically not to do transshipping or simple assembly, but to have more value added. The problem is that China needs that value added now, because China is cut off the US market for obvious humongously high tariffs. So China is not ready to let Vietnam basically produce to become, if you want, strategically autonomous, as we would say in Europe. And Vietnam can't really do it on its own because it would lose a lot of investment from China and a lot of employment. So in a way, Vietnam is stuck. It really can't offer to the US what Mexico has offered, to keep the US market and its free trade agreement, USMCA with the US. Vietnam is too tied to China to do that. Right. And Xi Jinping was in and out. That's why he's there.
Right. And he's also going to be visiting Malaysia and then Cambodia in this tour. Why do you think these states were chosen?
Well, Vietnam and Cambodia and Malaysia are all very dependent on China, but the interest is different. Vietnam has ballooned thanks to China. In fact, Xi Jinping visited only 18 months ago. Cambodia 9 years ago, and Malaysia something like 12 years ago. So, the level of relevance is not the same for Xi Jinping because Vietnam has been at the forefront of this transshipping to the US. But I think the problem is that both have been hardly hit by tariffs. And I think Xi Jinping understands that Vietnam only cannot be the deal. He needs other platforms. Maybe Vietnam will be stuck with the tariffs from the US, but Malaysia may make it. And that's why Xi Jinping needs to visit these countries to find other supply chain to then re-export to the US.
Alicia, Donald Trump's tariffs have upended global trade. I just want to get your sense of where you see global trade headed after this chapter.
Yeah, so we're going to see obviously a retrenchment of global trade, but also regionalization of global trade. And again, Xi Jinping's visit right after these tariffs were lifted temporarily says it all about China's intent and speed of reaction to at least secure its own supply chain in this bifurcated world. The US will push Mexico, Xi Jinping is pushing Vietnam. So it's very clear. We're moving towards two ecosystems in global trade.
All right, that is Alicia Garcia Herrero, Chief Economist for the Asia-Pacific region at Natixis. Thank you, Alicia. We appreciate that.